Hello, my name is Stephen Fontaine, and I'm just gonna show you a simple node I made in Designer to help the process of compositing all your texture from a baked sculpt and tweak it so you can have a base ready before painting over it in like maybe 5 minutes. So let's get started. So you just load your textures. Right there. It's already happening here. Occlusion, curve, curve, your matte ID. It's okay if you don't have one, but it's better if you do. And some noise. And let's change to 2K. So as you can see, you already have a pretty good base, which you can tweak later. So it saves you a lot of time, and if you have to rebake something and you just do a preset, you are just good to go and start over. So this one is done. So this is the AO. You can tint it. Am I in 2K? Yeah, I'm in 2K. Let's go for here so we can have a better view. You can change the color of your AO. Never use black and white AO. It's not a good thing to do for Handpainted stuff. For the sake of it, I'll just put blue so you can see the AO is actually changing, so nothing magical. I'll just pick some values I had. Maybe this. So yeah, that's good. You can tweak the values of your AO right here. So for example, you can see it if you can crank it up, of course, but for the sake of it, I will just leave it like this. You can have some chipped AO along the edges if you want. It's kind of working, but it's not really precise yet, but as you can see, the edges are getting chipped. So it gives you more variations inside your AO for future colors and stuff. That's pretty good. I'll just leave it that way. The curve, nothing fancy. Just if you want to increase the power of your curvature, it's right there. If you want to blur it, it's here. Like for example, if I do it here, as you can see, it's like really high. And of course you can re-blur it if you want. I will just go back to 0. Base color is just a color multiplied by the AO plus the curve. So for example, I don't know, if you want something more grayish or blue or whatever, you can do it. So it's always nice to have a base for this. I'll just keep this one for me. You can here flip the normal if you want before export, so it's always useful. Fake lighting, so this one, so you have a switch, takes the green channel from the normal map just to fake the lighting, and I added also the red channel if you want more control over it. So let's say for example I want some lighting, so as you can see it's pretty okay, but I don't like the color. So for example, if you want, I can go just change it and maybe put something orange, why not? So it's pretty simple thing, but saves time, so it's always a good thing. You can lower the opacity of it if you want, so if you still want it, but if you want to be really subtle in the shades you're getting, you can also boost the green channel so you have more values. So let's say here we'll go maybe something like this, and you can already see it happening here. So we just go by to a brighter color right there. So if I want the opacity at the max, you are getting all the little subtle changes made by this channel, so it's pretty cool. And of course, if you want to increase or decrease the global value of this output, it's right there. So I'll just leave it to 0 for now. Gradient map. So this one used by ID if you want just to have it on the UV island, because a friend of mine wanted to do that. But by default, you can just switch it on, and it's just a basic bottom to top gradient. So nothing fancy here. It's kind of okay, maybe a bit too high, so you can change your values of the gradient right here. Maybe I will just go with a darker value, like, yeah, that's more like it. So it's more neutral over what's here. So this one is pretty interesting. So basically, the 8 map you generated is going to be split in two, and for the lower values I want to have something blue to colorize my texture, and for the higher values I will have something a more punchy color, something like red, to have different levels of contrast. So if I toggle it on, you see it's like it's already having some blue here, and the red is getting a lot on the texture because I have a lot of flat areas. So let's try something like if I boost this one, you can see the red is slowly fading out and the blue is getting more visible. So maybe I could do -3, and for the sake of it, let's bump it up a little. I have some colors right there. So as you can see, you get more blue in the lower values and more brown reddish color on the higher values. Let's try with something more a little bit higher. So yeah, it's getting more and more orange. So maybe I will just lower the opacity. Like this, okay, so here now I have more blue shades, an intermediate level of gray, so it's fading out a bit, and I have more red right here. So you can have some pretty interesting shapes, colors variations in it. So it's always nice. It's still a work in progress, but for now it's really basic, but I tend to make it fully customizable. And if you want to lower the opacity of it, of all this 8 color mixing thing, you can always push that slider and just fade more the values you just did. So I will just go back to where it was. Okay. Grunge map. So this one is not procedural yet, but it's a custom texture I use a lot in my Handpainted stuff. So by default, if you switch it on, it will just add some random splats, so you can have more values. Let's say it's a bit too high in the contrast, so yeah, I just want more subtle variations, and I can always lower the opacity if I want. So these are just minor tweaks. You can also increase the normal of this noise if you want to reflect it here. I'm not gonna do that because it's a bit slow. And you can always blur it if you want. If it's too sharp, you can always blur it a little bit. You can also tint it if you want. Let's say, just for the example, pure green. I will just toggle it, so you get some nice shades over your texture if you want to. But I would just keep it that way. Okay. The AO output is just if you want to generate an AO based on all these parameters. I don't know, as a mask, or if you want just to use it as a base for something else, you can. So it's pretty basic stuff. Post effect is just a HSL node, so use saturation lightness. This one right there, rock opacity, is a texture I use a lot too, for my stones, brick walls. It just gives subtle shades and a more rocky feeling to my texture. So that's just for me, but can be useful. I can make this dynamic too if I want, so you can plug whatever you want. And this is just a sharper node before you output. So let's say we're done. We want to go to 4K. So just gonna recompute a little bit. Okay, so now we are in 4K. And let's say the color gradient pretty high. We just lower the opacity a bit. Okay, so I can work with that. So that's a pretty okay base if you want before starting to paint over. So there it is. And the nice thing is, if you want, when you're done tweaking it, however you like it, you can always save the preset. So if you have a lot of assets, you can gain a lot of times, like instead of compositing in for like 20 minutes in Photoshop, you can have it ready in 5 minutes, maybe less. And you can save presets. Let's go, like, for example, this one. It's a pure gray, so it's really neutral. And as you can see, I get some pretty cool things, and all the values already here. And for example, if I just don't want the noise, I just get rid of the noise. So it's just a bit convenient, and saves times if you have a lot of assets. If you're doing a small scene and you want a neutral base for everything before you start painting over it. So it's still a whip, still a lot to do, like maybe procedural noise, AO bleeding, light bleeding, maybe some custom mask from 8 and normals too, so you can have even more controls over it. Also there is a lot of things like blend nodes to expose if you want to multiply it, overlay it. It's actually kind of tricky, but I think something's possible. It's always possible. So that's it. Thanks for watching.